आपकी क्या चोट बहुत मार फोन दे चोट अरे हाथ पकड़ इसको मारो बे हाथ पकड़ रहा है तू फोन क्यों दे रहा है नहीं दूंगा फोन दे नहीं दूंगा मैं फोन लेके बैठा मेरा अरे मेरा हाथ मोटे है अपना फोन ले तू ही लिया ठीक है मैं दे दूंगा वापस दे देगा हाँ मैं फोन दे दे रहा है मेरे को है बेटा क्या नहीं ले सकते कैसा है हाँ यहाँ से आ जाना फोन दे पागल स्क्रैच तो डाल दिया है ये क्या किया पहुंचो अब देख नहीं गया तो नया स्टैंडर्ड लगा चलूंगा हाँ अपने पास में एक मिनट ये गया नहीं हाँ क्या गया वो दिखा पहले से क्या
what is the next part we have to study is that print comes to Europe.
अंदर देख रहा हूँ अंदर और
now say we have been learning that a print which you have developed in Far East Asian countries, how it developed, what are the stages of its evolution, all those things we have studied. Now let us go to Europe. How this print entered into Europe. Europe was considered as a developed continent, but the idea of woodblock printing was taken to Europe by one of the traveler named Marco Polo. So who brought that print technology to Europe? Marco Polo. He was a Chinese Italian traveler. He came to China, and when he returned to Italy, he took that concept of woodblock printing to Italy. But it is not that Italians or Europeans were not having any idea of printing. They used to have manuscript writing. They used to have some kind of writing which was done on vellum. Vellum means it is the thin skin of animals where they used to write with a stylus. And that was very costly. Earlier, the works like the Bible and all were written on that thin thin vellum. There was a material called vellum. It was very costly. But when Marco Polo went back to Italy, he took with him the idea of woodblock printing. Why it was introduced or why he took that idea? Because in Europe, there was a need of more printed works. It cannot be written. So earlier, the people used a technology like a calligraphy. What is calligraphy? Have you heard about stylish writing? You can write all these words because sometimes fill in the blanks or indirectly some questions will be asked. Calligraphy. What is calligraphy? Stylish writing. When you use a computer or like that for taking some writing, you take that remove font. So in that the stylish fonts you get. So at that time, those people who were specialized in writing, that is calligraphy, was selected for writing, and those who write were called as scribes. Have you heard this word scribes? That is, in newspapers, that article writers, journalists, and all are you having this name, scribes, one who writes. So earlier, people were called for copying the things. But when this idea was taken to Europe, they find this is easy to make the copy. Instead of making them to write, it takes a long time to complete the work. So instead of making the people to write or copyright, this one would be easy. You have seen that the paper have to be pasted or rubbed against the ink surface. So they find it a little bit easier than the earlier work. So that is why they have introduced this concept into Europe. So who introduced that printing in Europe? Marco Polo. He was an Italian traveler and he brought a wood block printing. And I have told you earlier also the writing was there. It was written by scribes and the calligraphy was that writing. Okay. Now, when you just imagine when somebody have to be called for writing, that person should be selected on the basis of this handwriting. So, best persons who have good handwriting were called for that. And for copying the things, they are paid. And it is very difficult to make the copies of that as it is. Your handwriting is different, your handwriting is different, everyone's handwriting different. So, it will take a long time to copy the things. At the same time, there was some kind of difficulty in understanding what you have written. That means from some books it had to be copied. You have written something and that word I have to identify. So when you are writing the answer, I have to identify what you have written. The same thing was experienced by the scribes also. So it took a long time for copying. But when this system was introduced, within this much time you have written the test. Okay. So, what is that? It takes a long time to complete the work and the person have to identify what it was written. So, when this woodblock printing was introduced, these all complications were reduced. Because of that, it was introduced in large numbers in different parts of Europe. Clear? Now, the next one question I am giving. What are the problems faced by, you write, what are the problems faced by
What are the problems faced by
manuscripts?
Page 1.
Manuscripts are the handwritten copies okay, handwritten copies. Next point, copying was expensive.
copies.
Copies full stop. Then copying was expensive.
Agree.
Laborious and time consuming.
What is laborious?
Hard work is labor. Okay, labor requirement.
Laborious and time.
Time consuming. Next point. Manuscripts were fragile, awkward to handle. Fragile, it is written on the border. Awkward to
Where? Fragile.
awkward to handle and could not be carried or
Awkward to handle.
and could not be carried around or read easily. So you write now instead of doing all this. So their circulation remained limited. Limited.
So the circulation
Remained. So their circulation remained limited. Okay. Now here so many points I have told you. What were the problems related to manuscript? I have told earlier the scribes were appointed for copying. It was very difficult for them to understand what the others have written. I'll tell you one of my experience. बंद करना. Listen. See that when I was doing my post graduation, there was a subject named History of USA. That means I had to study USA's history. But there was a subject named. So there was no book. So we were told by the professor to copy from seniors. It was passing from generation to generation, this copying. From the seniors they have copied, from the seniors they have copied, like that. It was coming from so many years. So when it comes to our hand, many of the words were not there. Because the words which they did not understand was not written. They have to take it. Next one's batch, some words other group were not understanding. So this way, full of gap filling. So this is what the problem related to copying. If we are having some books to refer, we can understand, okay, this word may be. So there was full of guessworks. People used to guess and write. This would be that. The same is happened when this copying was done. That is from previous book to copy. That also handwritten. It was not a printed work. Handwritten work. From handwritten work to copy, their handwriting is different from the others. So they cannot understand what it is. So copying was having so many problems. One is that it was very expensive. So for copying purpose, is it proper? No, no. No problem. You don't. When you are sitting like that, this all things can be seen in the. Yes, no, not man. The head office is. No, this is not the way to sit it. You also sit straight. No problem. You sit straight. Ah. I have told you to sit here. You have done that. So, in order to make that copies, the persons were appointed and that persons to be paid for writing, copying. So, it was very expensive work. Laborious. So much labor was required for copying. Means if so many copies of that book have to be made, many laborers were to be appointed. That means scribes to be appointed. It was a difficult work. That is what is laborious. And another one is that, what was the third word? What was the third word? Laborious and time consuming. They take a lot of time for copying. First they have to understand, then it has to be copied. Next one is fragile. The paper was so thin as well as of different sizes. So it can be torn. It cannot be carried over different places. Now, when you want to read a book, you can carry it in your bag and you take whenever you are free. But at that time, that book was very big in size, awkward to carry, and when they get the leisure time, hardly 6 pages, 7 pages, or 10 pages, that much only. But the size of the paper, you have seen that the size of the paper. So that size paper, it cannot be folded. They used to stitch it. So it was very awkward to carry and to read. That is any place. I have told you, when you are traveling by bus or train or like that, you can take a small book and read it. But if the size of the book was big, you cannot carry like that or take when you are getting that free time to read. So because of all these things, that circulation of this one was limited, or what is manuscript was limited only. Who will spend that much money to make the copy? This much a difficult task is involved. So manuscripts were limited and they felt the need of some kind of printing. So woodblock printing was introduced, and afterwards we can see in Europe the mechanical printing press was introduced. So invention of mechanical printing press. Have you completed that one? You? So, who invented mechanical printing press? A person named Johann Gutenberg. So, who invented mechanical printing press?
Johann Gutenberg.
So, it was invented in Germany. That mechanical printing press was invented in Germany. The history of this mechanical printing press was very interesting. How this particular person invented it. He belonged to a business family, merchant family, his father was having a large agricultural land which have olive trees and vineyards. So they used to make that extract wines as well as that olive oil. So olive presses was there at his home. So childhood onwards he could get the opportunity to see that olive presses. At the same time he was having an interest in that jewelry making. So that fine jewelry lead molds he learned to make, and he become expert in that. Now he thought that why can't we combine these two things? Because gold jewelry or that all ornaments or jewelry have to be made with a lot of care. How much attention have to be made or given for that? The same thing, if we use that press which was used for extracting that oil, can be used as a press for alphabet and all, and molds can be used, that is lead mold which was used for making that jewelry can be used for alphabet purpose. So one is for press purpose and the other one for alphabet purpose. Now he combined both these ideas together and he designed that mechanical printing press by 1448, I think. You just see. No, 1448. 1448, Gutenberg perfected the system. Okay. Did you understand how it was? You just read this one. Gutenberg and printing press. 147.
Write a shortcut on the Gutenberg press. There was clearly a great need for even quicker and cheaper reproduction of text. This could only be with the invention of a new print technology. The breakthrough occurred at Strasbourg, Germany, where Johann Gutenberg developed the first known printing press in the 1430s. Gutenberg was
these points you have to underline or write.
From his childhood, he had seen wine and olive presses. Subsequently, he learned the art of polishing stones, became a master goldsmith, and also acquired the expertise to create lead molds used for making trinkets.
Trinkets. See, lead mold for trinkets.
Drawing on this knowledge, Gutenberg
so that was used
in
No. So what was his idea of making that printing press? One is that the olive presses were used for that mechanical press, and second is that lead mold which was used for making the trinkets were used for alphabets. Now these two techniques have been combined together in making that mechanical press. Okay.
The olive press provided a model for the printing press and mold where
underlining was not this one I did not write the
metal types of the letter of the alphabet. By 1948, Gutenberg first defected.
Perfect.
The first book he printed was the Bible.
Which was the first book he printed?
About 180 copies were printed and it took 3 years to produce it.
Now you stop.
Of the time, this was
Farming you stop.
fast.
No, I did not tell you to stop. Read first.
Sure.
Now you stop. Okay, which was the first book published? Bible. And 180 copies were printed in how many years?
6 years.
3 years.
69.
years में बस टीवी बने
एक ही 181 है
180
That means in
तो मैम
1 year
180
60
क्या
books.
है इसमें 180 रहेगी देखो 200 है
वही
Bible is a book.
हाँ तो पता है
मुझे
It
मालूम है।
comprises of 72 books inside.
Oh my
That much big.
I'm so
You
that-
are not talking about the pages.
180
Book.
copies मतलब वैसे
Copies means one Bible's copy consists of that many big books.
उसका मत बोलो
इसका मत बोलो नहीं है.
मैं
That
क्या
is,
बोल
you
So
don't
many
tell
copies.
any other thing.
180 copies मतलब एक ऐसे
ऐसा
180
book. हाँ.
ऐसे
300 वाला है।
क्या है
हाँ.
ऐसे book बस
ये तो एक है
That means in 1 year there are 60 books. चला क्या चल रहा है?
Okay.
ऐसे क्या चलने की चाहिए?
You just read the next part. You read by the standards.
By the standards of the time, which was fast production,
Ah.
the new technology did not entirely displace the existing art of producing books by hand. In fact, printed books
अब हम लोग एक साल से इससे भी ज्यादा बना लेंगे
वही नंबर इतने books
the written manuscript in appearance and layout, the mental letter
किधर पढ़ रहा है?
created.
See, we have seen that new books were printed at a fast pace compared to that earlier system. Earlier time it had to be copied. It would take a long time to complete even one book. So now, within 3 years, 180 copies was unimaginable for that time. Nowadays, you have so many devices to make so many pages at a time, so many colors at a time, so many types of prints at a time. So this is 2024. We are talking about 1450.
which
With the time of 1450, it was a fast progress.
ma'am 2040 50 AC
AC
BC or
We
80
are talking about 1450.
80
Ah.
80 2 and 40
Ah.
C
So slowly you read.
ma'am what is the full form of 80
according to his grade
You read it. Don't say so.
The metal letters created the ornamental handwritten styles.
You underline this point. At that time, the metal letters imitated ornamental handwritten style. Ornamental handwritten style, that in textbook you can find that peculiarity. The designs were having that, on that borders and other pages. It's reading.
Borders were illuminated by hand with foliage and other patterns and illustrations were printed. In the book printed for the rich, space for decoration was kept blank on the printed page.
You come here.
Purchaser,
You read it.
each purchaser could choose the design and decide on the painting school that what do the illustration.
Not
age
In the 100 years between 1450 to 1550, printing presses were set up in most countries of Europe. Printers from Germany traveled to other countries seeking work and helping start new presses.
medical degree है
India and the continent. Now it is
last degree
ये देखो ना.
One, two, three.
हाँ.
Four.
मैम इसके बाद आप घर जाओगे
No.
ये खत्म होने के बाद
नहीं.
पूरा हिस्ट्री
90 HST.
क्या पूछने का
खत्म होने के बाद अब घर नहीं जाएगा. ICSE बैचेस कर रहे हैं तो please. Why it is not coming?
Page number
Numbers are
190.
car accident was
ये नॉवल का है कि उसमें नहीं है फोर्थ लेसन यूज हाँ slow second this
my shoes.
yes this one. It is that Gutenberg was the son of a merchant and had grew up on a large agricultural estate. From his childhood, he had seen wine and olive presses. Subsequently, he learned the art of polishing stones. So, one is that olive presses you keep in your mind. That how that machine is working. That is pressing. That is seed has to be pressed to extract oil. So it was a kind of machine which require perfection. Then only the oil can be extracted. Then second is that he learned the art of polishing stones. See, if you have seen that jewelry making, that is gold, it had to be heated and melted and then shaped. That is thin wire like it has to be made. So much perfection is required. So that way he learned the art of polishing stones, became a master goldsmith, and also acquired the expertise to create lead molds used for making trinkets. So one side he was having that idea of that olive presses. Second is having the idea of lead molds to make a trinkets. Now what he did, drawing on this knowledge, Gutenberg adapted existing technology to design his innovation. Now these two ideas are combined together to design his new invention. Go. You just not you. He was asking.
1 minute, I'm pretty.
No.
Just
First of all, you came late. You just go and sit.
1 minute.
You give in his hand.
I'm going
Many.
You sit.
I'm just 1 minute. 1 minute, please, ma'am,
ये
please.
समझ जाएगा क्या?
यार पानी भर देना है.
I have told you to give him.
Ma'am, he told me to not take.
Then you sit there.
अरे ma'am, please.
साथ
नहीं. Ma'am, please, ma'am.
में बैठे हो.
The police was provided the model for printing press and bolts were used. Are you getting what were combined for making the press? By 1448, Gutenberg perfected the system. The first book he printed was Bible. About 180 copies were printed. All those things we have seen. Now, how he made that the system? See, printed books at first closely resembled the written manuscripts in appearance and layout. That means how it was written earlier. Scribes were called and the designs were given. So that way, that printing press also. Yes, give me. Then why did you take somebody's one? No, you just go there. Who told you to come and sit here? I have told you to sit here to do this. Video. No. Printers from Germany traveled to other countries seeking work and helping start new presses. And another thing you wanted to see is that how. See, when the book was printed, it is having these all designs. This is what a foliage. You can see that invitation cards and all. The designs used to be there. So modern day, it is not a difficult task. Which design you want to give, which color you want to give, that easily you can take out and do that design. But earlier, it was very difficult. So if I am giving an order for that book, I am able to make a decision that which type of design I want. So that which picture to be added, which school of picture to be used for that. That all things the decision I can take. And when I am ordering, I can give, that is this one I want. So that page will kept empty, this all parts will be kept empty, and that schools of painting, people will be called to complete that. Only that printed text will be there, the other things will be added later. Understood? Sometimes if you wanted to add something, what you will do, that space will be given and later on we will add it. So that way the printing schools were given the task of doing. Okay. Then this is what the press of the earlier time. Then what all things, printers workshop. So now you are thinking that your printing means a big machine.
But at that time,
Earlier time, all the works were done by different persons, and I'm giving and let me complete. Okay. So different persons are doing different work. Here it is given. Say 16th century workshop. The picture depicts a printer's shop look like the 16th century. All the activities are going on under one roof. In the foreground on the right is compositors. The first group. Then while on the left, who is doing this one? I will throw away your watch. No.
मेरा बचता नहीं है देखो मेरा बचता नहीं है मेरा बचता नहीं है
on this.
Your watch was
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. On the left, galleys are being.
क्या?
Your.
अरे मेरे पास तो ये वाला वॉच कहाँ से बजेगा?
I am doubtful about that.
Ma'am, please don't
अरे
like.
मैं
No.
नहीं बचता देखो ना सब
उसको
बदलना
बचता ही नहीं।
चाहिए
Then this is
हाँ मैम, उसको बचता है।
दिखा दे बॉस दिखा हम देखो देखो
देख देख देखो मैम इसका
just now I saw.
दिखाना जिसको
दिखा था भाई।
दिखाना।
दिखा दिखा दिखा।
दिखा क्या तू क्या कर रही है
तू क्या तेरे मुंह के नीचे?
हां बस
हम देखो हम बोला।
Now you stop this.
Ma'am, you stop the sound.
दिखा दिखा बात करके
दिखा दिखा रहो आइए देखो
बोर्ड दबा
More.
तू हाथ से दबा
Hey,
दबा के रख।
wait.
हाँ इधर आ जाओ इधर देखो मेरे अरे हाथ
It was from your.
अरे मैम ये
मेरे घड़ी से निकालते हैं
मैं वो स्टेज निकाला
होता है यार
दबा जोर का
दोबारा
जोर का दबाना
अरे मैम उसके भी लड़ी से आप देखोगे
हाँ तो आपको पता ना कौन कर रहा था बस में तो
अरे मैम मैं नहीं कर रहा
नहीं कर रहा था
था
मैं।
मैं स्टार्टिंग में क्या आपका मैंने नहीं किया ये कर रहा था
I was not doing man I can check the camera
मैम घड़ी तो ना मुझे मैं करके दिखा
हाँ तो मैं बोल रहा होता है पर तू कर रहा था कि नहीं कहाँ मारा सब
मैं कर रहा था हाँ कर रहा था
हाँ तो मेरा नाम क्या लग रहा है मैंने किया बाद में नहीं कर रहा था मैं किया था
मैं भी कर रहा था
अरे तू चुप रहे ना
वो तू काले है तू चुप रह
तेरा सर मारूंगा मैं चप्पल से मारूंगा
ठीक है देख लो
कुत्ता बना के मारूंगा
I have identified who have done it. But afterwards, this way, you were playing.
अरे मैम मैंने पहले किया था ये
हाँ,
अपने किया था
मैंने
आज झूठ बोल रहा है कितना झूठ बोलेगा
बता तेरा माँ
हाँ तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ बचता है मेरा मैं बोल रहा
why
हूँ
you are telling that the person who is getting at home here, the puस्तक का संतुलन है. Immediately I have told you, this way you should not do this. See, this was the sum.
सब दवाएं तो
Not-
नहीं चाहिए
You have to tell only once. That is why I have done. Now I do not do this. No. Now only. After I called you, you just called.
नहीं ये भी
Before that, you
ये
did
भी
not
कर
take
रही
it.
है
That this I don't like. No.
कर चेक कर
मेरा check
चेक कर
हम चेक करो हम चेक
Lie I don't like. See, whatever that is I allow you to laugh, everything I allowed, but lie no.
दिल हम बजाओ देखो
No.
मैम पर मैं बजा रहा ही नहीं था पूछे इससे पूछे इससे
All are the same category.
यार मेरा तो स्टील का है कहाँ से बजेगा
You are the same.
तेरा ही घड़ी बज रहा
थोड़ी
था
देर से
इसका गाली दे रहा है इसका ही बज रहा था
हाँ भाई बज रहा था पटन के लिए तो बात है बस
जो क्लास में
मैम ऐसा काले लोगों को लेना नहीं चाहिए चुप चश्मे
Okay. See, what all are the activities taking place in the earlier printing press? You complete. This is why I did not allow you to go and fill water also. If you are very much disciplined, at least for some time, I will feel sympathy on that. Water I never this thing. Reject or refuse. But you are not. Come here. Sit here. I'll give you time, I will allow you. But I want that kind of silence in us. So, did you understand that is? Compositor is a person who composes the text of printing, and a galley, metal frame in which types are laid and the text composed. So these all are taking place in that different places, and finally these all things are arranged into that book form. Okay. You got an idea about what is Gutenberg printing or mechanical printing press? Huh? So from that book you have to learn what was the process. Now we are moving to the next important development, that is print revolution. What is meant by revolution? Can anyone tell me? Change. Revolution is a change according to you. Then, any other development? Yes, any other thing? You have? these all words are there included in it. Then you yes, any idea?
Development.
Development already given. Okay.
Change.
Change also given.
Transformation.
Transformation. Now let us make all this together and find a definition. See, revolution normally defines as a sudden or drastic change. You have studied about the French Revolution.
Yes.
You have studied about some other
Russian
revolutions.
Revolution.
Here, about that print we are taking, there was a drastic change taken place. What is the drastic change? Or
Overthrowing monarchy.
that were things later on because of that, its effect we can say. But in the field of print, what was the drastic change? We have studied about the mass production is one of the change.
Mechanical instead of hand.
Yes, production from hand printing to mechanical printing. This way, when from the manuscript to a kind of print that is in mass number or large scale production take place, we call it a revolution or revolutionary change. The same thing happened from hand printing to mechanical printing. There, the people used to write. It will take a long time to complete one page because it had to be in good handwriting with good design, calligraphy. So it will take a long time. So from that, with the help of machines, now you go to take prints. That means xeroxes. When I asked that, is immediately told about xerox. So you are going to take a xerox. So the thing which you are giving, immediately you are getting the copy of it. If you want a color xerox, that way you are getting a color xerox. That is one within no time. So that way, with the help of machine, there was a drastic change. This development is called as print revolution. Did you understand the difference? Huh? Whatever you have told only I wrote here. I just included it in a different way or presented it in a different way. You told that a mass production. Earlier, that is when you are going to take the print, that few years back, one copy only. Now, how many copies are required? You can just press that number and that many copies will come. So that kind of changes happened in the field of print. That is why we call it a print revolution. Did you understand all this? So who invented that mechanical printing machine?
John Gutenberg.
John Gutenberg. So he clubbed the two ideas or two theories. That is one for that extracting the oil, another is for making that gold or jewelry. So when he combined these two ideas and made a machine, so if you all might have seen that mixer grinder in your home. So when you want a particular type, that is grinding machine, just that powder type if you want, you can use that. When you want that one to that is with water, it has to be grinded, so that blade can be used. When you want to extract the juice, that blade you can use. So same instrument you can get many uses. The same way, printed materials are in diverse. That is, so many types, so many fonts, so many things can be done at a time. That is why that particular period is known as print revolution. Got it? So let's see what was the print revolution. It was not just a development, a new way of producing books. It transformed the lives of man or people. What is how it transformed the lives of people?
Increasing the literacy rate.
Literacy rate.
Exposure to more knowledge about the kids.
Yes. Then another.
Imaginative skills.
Yes. So you can get so many types of books, whatever you want. If you are interested in reading novels, if you are interested in reading stories, so variety of publications, variety of printed works were there. So it transformed the lives of the people. Then changing the relationship to information and knowledge. This definition you have to remember. Learn it. Okay. Huh? Then, with the institutions and authority, the relationship between with the institutions and authorities also changed. Earlier, that people saw the kings and other authorities with a great respect and fear. Now, when they started reading books, they understand that they are not the people to be afraid of. The people have real power. Now, present day, power is in our hands. We vote, then only these authorities will come to power. So, the real power rests with the people. This understanding make a real change. Earlier, they were afraid of the authorities, monarchs. Now, monarchs were also criticized due to that. You have already told. It influenced popular perceptions and opened up new ways of looking at things. What is that? See, earlier they were forced to believe whatever the authorities used to tell, they were forced to believe. Now they were not blindly believing the things. What they see only they believe. If I am telling, I put salt in water, and I am telling you it is very sweet. So you will understand that what is my concept of sweetness and saltness. So what is that? It is an understanding, or with the help of reading books, people began to have a perception about different things. Now, a new reading public developed. With the printing press, a new reading public emerged. Printing reduced the cost of books. The time and labor required to produce each book came down. Understood? So earlier we have seen laborious work, time-consuming work. Now you just imagine we are having so many textile mills. Before that, handlooms were there. One piece of cloth used to be completed in a month. Now so many pieces, so many meters of clothes are produced in a few hours. So this kind of transformation is applicable for print also. What happened? That multiple copies could be produced with greater ease. Books flooded the market, reaching out to an ever-growing readership. Earlier, few people only could read. Now, With the availability of books, people began to demand for books and start reading books. Then, access to books created a new culture of reading. Earlier, reading was restricted to elites. Who are called elites? Upper class, richer sections. Okay. Common people lived in a world of oral culture because they hear and understand. Not understanding, they hear and from that they learn the things. We know that the ballads and other things were sung or enacted. By seeing that they learn. Do you know that Ramayana and Mahabharata, which was written in Sanskrit language, many people could not read. So when it started showing in that or telecasting in the TV channels or movies or like that, most of the people could understand. And that is the language of the common people. So that distance between that great scripture and the common people reduced. It is given in the language of the common people or presented in the language of the common people. And people began to revere those people who acted. They compare that character with that of the person. So it reached to the lower level. That is, earlier it was kept at the higher level, and now it came closer to the people. This happened. Then they heard sacred text read out, ballads recited, the folk tales narrated, knowledge was transferred orally. People collectively heard a story or saw a performance. Then, before the age of print, books were not only expensive, but they could not be produced in sufficient numbers. Now, books could reach out to wider sections of people. If earlier there was a hearing public, now we are reading public. So these all are the transformations.